high. Like compared to Thailand, you might be surprised that we are entering the aging society already. I think we are the only developed. Okay, is everyone here? Hello, everyone, all the attendees, and good evening to all Mr. Speakers, like everyone here. It's an honor to welcome all of you to this seminar. My name is Virunluk. I'm the Vice President of Thai BIM Association. I'll be your host. Okay, I don't see any attendees. Everyone here? Anyway, I will assume that everyone here. Okay. Let me introduce you to our guests. We have a very special guest tonight. And when I see the profile of these guests, I think I should just shut up. But since I have a job to speak, I would just speak as least as possible. The first guest that we have today is Mr. Carl Silbersky, the CEO of BIM Object. And I would say Carl is the face of BIM for greater good in this world. I think many people know Carl. Yeah, he appears in the videos. And his experience spanned all over the world as an executive, an entrepreneur, and a startup investor. Introducing Carl, I would also try to introduce the BIM Object. Also, this BIM Object, they provide the software tools, the web solutions, and services to assist our customers in the creation, conversion, and publishing of BIM objects on the world's biggest BIM content platform, and create a direct path to the global community of users, whatever their preferred BIM software is. And BIM objects are neutral, innovative, and dedicated to excellence in providing cost-effective marketing and sales solution for building products and manufacturers. So please welcome Mr. Carl Silbersky. Sawasdee krab.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Since Sean is not here, it's just going to go to Dave. Okay. Next guest is our Mr. Dave Nicholson. He's a digital practice leader at Aurecon, Hong Kong. Dave is bringing 20 years of technical design, drafting, and project management experience. Dave has worked in various architecture and engineering sectors across the UK, Australia, and Southeast Asia. Dave starting as an architectural technologist, later establishing and managing an offshore engineering office in Australia for an Australian business with a lot of board management and technical experience. Dave spent the past 2 years working as a BIM consultant in Hong Kong, and he is now focused on continued development of digital practice in the region. Welcome, two of you, to this seminar. Thank you very much for participating. Yes. If Sean comes in, I will introduce him in front of him. Okay. Yeah. All right. I will just get on my quick information and just let all of you come in play. When I'm done, I'm gonna have Mr. Dave come and speak about 20 minutes, and then, Mr. Carl speak 20 minutes, and then Mr. Dave, and we get on to the question and see if Sean comes to join us. Okay, I have some, let's say, fun fact for you. This is from BIM Thailand adoption in the situation of today. Too bad that in our country, we do not have the survey, official survey for BIM adoption. So I will just use this is a slide coming in. I'm just going to try to go up my slide. Hold on. Participate screen. Okay, I will share the screen right now. And this is a BIM, Thailand BIM adoption of 2020 based on my experience. Since I personally, as I graduate as an architect, and I have 8 years in United States experience architectural firm. I came back to be a professor in Thai University Architectural School. I used to have my consulting firm, the BIM consulting firm. Also, I used to be an executive in the real estate development in Thailand. So based on my opinion, I will try to use my instinct to give you some interesting information about BIM adoption in Thailand for the fun fact for the guests and the attendees here. Okay. I will try to use a casual word and make you see the pictures. First, about the stakeholder, the situation of Thailand right now. In Thailand, the real driving force for BIM adoption is residential real estate developers. And you might ask, like, okay, it has to be specific in particular about real estate developer who is a residential real estate developer? Yes, the residential real estate developer is a big player in Thailand. In some aspect, is more, I would say, is more exciting in terms of market compared to the commercial real estate. Those commercial real estate guys, they are big and they're growing bigger in the kind of like slow pace. But the high growth in the past 7 to 8 years is going to the residential real estate developers market. And because of their growth, they would try to control their net profit. And BIM is one of the major technology that they implement to control their construction costs, not operating costs. The residential developers, they build and sell. Okay, that's one of the driving force that change everyone else under the supply chain. Anyone know the song from U2, With or Without You? This is a situation of the contractors in Thailand that they will implement BIM with or without anyone knowing. But if you ask them, they will say, we didn't really implement it yet. If you want a BIM model, maybe we need to charge you extra fee. But in reality, I think most of the grade A contractors, they already implement BIM because they know this is godsend tools. It saves all the costs, it saves all the risk. It's a great benefit directly for their business, like in a big portion. So I would say when they start from the a high upper class contracting firm, and they're going to start going down to the smaller contracting firm. So it's a good sign on the construction side. The other one, this is a little bit interesting in terms of the limitation that they should have breakthrough. This is my profession as an architect, at least part of them. When I say designer, it's not only about architect, it's also other designer like MEP engineer, civil engineer as well. Right now, they still implement BIM as a production tool. I think it's a limitation. They should have maybe breakthrough this one and getting into more like a effective approach. Because in general, if it's a production tool, they should have this production tool reduce their working time directly, and they should have produced them more profit. But these days, they just think that it's a production tool to make some BIM model and give it to the client. So when there's an approach, it's a cost approach completely, and most of the designers start to complain about why the BIM software is so expensive. So to me, I think they need to revisit the whole operation to make them change their mind. For the supplier in Thailand, I would say they start cashing in, meaning that they start to see the benefit of bringing BIM to their business to support the designer. If they can support the designer in terms of materials, like BIM object that your Carl is working on, I think that supplier business will have competitive advantage. Many suppliers start to know that, especially the big player like Siam Cement Group. They know this long time ago, but then they start to go down the stream into the smaller supplier. It's almost the same phenomenon as a contractor. They lead the way, they see the benefit, they implement it, and they don't tell anyone, and everyone start to follow slowly. Okay. Educator, I will use this word. You might heard the terms from, I think, from George Bush back in 2004 or something. No student left behind. I think this time the professor will be left behind, and this is interesting phenomenon because the student they learn quick, and if they want to learn something, they will find ways to learn and do it on themselves, because students start to know that if the professor doesn't know one thing, it's wasting time to ask them the same question. If the professor knows something, that professor is a go-to person. And these days, when the education has been liberated from school already, then pretty much the student will ask anyone that they get their hands on. The problem now in the school, as a BIM, Thailand BIM Association right now, we have the professor who has become like a part of our executive team in the Thai BIM Association. But then we have another group of professors who still don't exactly know what BIM is in architecture and engineering school. You'll be surprised. It's completely like a very interesting distance world between the professor who sit almost next together in the office. And that would be interesting issue to keep track on along the way. So to me personally, I used to be a professor. I think the professor group needs to be influenced fast, to change them fast, okay? Or else the students is gonna go surpass them. This is how I describe the project manager and construction manager in Thailand right now. They are almost like the last group who doesn't want to participate. Many project managers and contractors still think that BIM is nothing to do with us. We are the one who conduct all the information flow. So BIM is about the designer and about the contractor, and we are just the guy who telling people what to do things. And that would be another interesting part, almost like a professor. This is definitely not right. Okay. Once again, I didn't say every single one is like that, but many people are like that, and they try to resist implementing BIM, even in the big construction management firm. Some of them still don't understand the concept. Okay, BIM consultant. BIM consultant has been around in Thailand for like, I think almost 10 years already. And the big issue of cost management, the data synchronization in the designing or construction, it start to be normalized. Everyone start to know this is a function of BIM. And if you are the consultant, you have to look for the new water, the new performance, the new issues to solve. So the BIM consulting has to move forward, not in just designing and construction anymore. I might have to go to other things. For the conglomerate, this is interesting. I think they start to see that the BIM can be used to perform in asset management. I'm talking about the physical asset, especially the building, even some inventory in some circumstances, but mostly building and machines. They start to know, like not long ago, a couple of years ago. So if you see that residential real estate developer is already gone long time ago in terms of construction costs, and now conglomerate, which mostly they are commercial real estate, they start to get to understand that BIM is very good to manage physical asset. Then we're gonna see the loop of BIM is really close. And the person who on the top of the food chain, they said, oh, okay, everyone should do BIM because I need this technology. And that's going to change many things in the future. Facility manager, because the conglomerate who is doing asset management, they start to demand BIM. The facility management have to move on, have to keep moving too. I met some facility manager from the top firm, facility management. They come to me and they say that I think I need to understand this right now before I kind of miss the train. So this kind of feeling like urgency start to see in the facility management world. This is financial sector. They still don't know and don't care, because they don't think that anything has to do with them at this point. They providing loan for construction and for real estate. They said there's nothing much to do with us. Okay, it's interesting, but I don't see anything to do with them. So they still don't see the involvement. The next one is the government. I describe the government like this. Right now, if you do the project for the government, especially the design projects, they're going to require you to submit BIM model with the LOD 500. You're going to see some term of reference like that. And if you go ask the official who in charge of that project, they're going to tell you that they don't know what that means, but they already put on the specification of the government project. So like I said, they want something, they don't know what it is, but they think it's necessary, so they just keep it in the specification. And of course, that BIM model that you submit to is not going to be implemented for any other things, but it's there, okay? So as you can see overall here, is not exactly a complete picture, but in terms of direction, I think we as a Thai in construction industry and beyond, I think we start to move in the interesting direction, a positive way. Imagine someone get on board, but they don't know what it is and don't know where they're going, but they still want to get on board. So at least it's better than not getting on board. Okay. Next, I have only 2 slides, but just this one is my opinion about the trend that is about to happen. I think BIM data submittal will be more logical, because I just told you that the government specification right now is not logical. And we're going to see the usefulness of property digital twin. I say property digital twin because in Thailand, the advancement is mostly driven by private sector. We're going to start to see the property digital twin to be implemented fully from the design construction to the facility management. We're going to see it in a couple of years. It start to happen. And AEC professionals will move from 3D to 4D practice. I'm talking about everyone, designer, construction, and facility management too. They start to think a project in terms of 4D approach, about timing, about revision of design. They start to see that picture now. And surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, the group of people who understand this is the student, the new generation in their 20s, because they are useful with a tool that can keep log of design. They can go moving forward and they can go backward in time about how their design revision has happened. Number 3, the BIM will be used for asset management. This one is huge. It's about to come. And every conglomerate will start to be interested. See, in conglomerate in Thailand, they talk a lot about the digital transformation. And when you go into the detail about digital transformation, they're going to talk about mostly 2 things, which is the enterprise resource I don't know, ERP, enterprise resource planning, okay? And the other one is cloud computing. This is the 2 main digital transformation in Thailand. And when you have BIM comes in, if it's a physical asset management, BIM is a linkage for both cloud computing and ERP, okay? So that will happen. Next one is professional beyond construction will start to engage. And I'm talking about the non-AEC group like finance, the social worker, maybe the lawyers, and everyone will start to see, because when you touch the asset management, the person has to come in is the accountant. The auditor will start to come in and see the performance of this technology. Next one is performance simulation. Right now is really start to be a norm when you submit the environmental impact assessment in Thailand, that they will use a BIM model to do everything. All the simulations come from BIM model. In like 4 or 5 years ago, you're gonna see each software platform and you have to input the model separately in each software. But now people start, hey, maybe it's you just use a single BIM model and keep on the track of this design and simulate them in different other solution that you want. The next one is, this is an interesting word. This is an interesting word that maybe not so like new to you guys from European and Western world, but in Thailand is almost like a magical word. Like, can you do this thing, predictive analytics? Like, what does it mean? Like, for example, predictive maintenance, what does it mean? We have reactive maintenance, which is normal, and we have preventive maintenance, which is good already. But now we can do predictive maintenance. Why not? If you have enough data, you can do that, and based on BIM model as well. And the last one that is very interesting, Thailand government has this policy in place about smart city. And many the municipality or the executive of the government, local government, they start to see that in order to manage a smart city, you need a digital city twin, city digital twin to be in the platform. So they start to jump in And from this part, the government illogical approach will not be so illogical anymore. They start to be logical because they really need to use this time. So in my part, maybe I can have our guests participate about the idea of implementation of Thailand. Maybe you guys can give some comment. And for my part, that would be it. And thank you very much for listening to my opinion in this case. And I hope next year, maybe our Thai BIM Association will do some survey. So we have more solid ground rather than just my idea. Thank you very much. We'll move on to Mr. Carl Silbersky. Carl, if you want to share your slide, I will get out of my slide right now. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you much. Okay, so I'll share my slides here.
Yep.
We go.
All right.
There you go. Can you see my slides here?
Yes.
Great. Great. So thank you very much, Ponn. Great to be here. I hope all is well with everybody. Let me see. I think it should be like that, shouldn't it? Sorry. That's the first slide. Okay, great to see you all. Like Ponn said, I come from a different industry, and just quickly about me, my name is Carl, of course. I'm the CEO of BIM Object. Previously, I come from a technology background of having built face recognition technology, acquired by Apple. We built the mapping company, global mapping company, a third of the size of Google Maps, got acquired by Facebook, and a couple of other companies, and I'm truly investor, and I'm truly dedicated to BIM Object. Other reason, first of all, the company is located in my hometown, and I got offered to work there. And secondly, but most importantly, I finally get to work with something that really has an impact in the world. So I can bicycle to work, and I can really have an impact on the world. And I think that's maybe a 40th crisis when you become 40 years old and you start to speak to your kids, and they say, "So, Dad, what are you really doing to make the world a better place?" I don't know. We put the recognition, how you recognize, you open your iPhone today. That's what we did. And we help to map the world in place. Doesn't really count, you know. What are you doing towards the environment? And so I'm super proud to be working at BIM Object and to take on the leadership as CEO. Short about what I'm going to present. So the title, of course, is solving problems, reduce the CO2 impact, and winning the digital race. And that's what we're going to talk about. So what really set is that the construction has a specific set of problems. First of all, we have a demand side. We need to build another New York per month. And the second problem is that the productivity growth is 1%. So not massive, and it's shockingly horror if you come from any other technology sector. You're looking at this going like, what's happening? What's going on in this sector? But the third one is really, we're the #1 source of CO2. I was reading up on this. It got a little bit surprised to me that we're actually polluting, the concrete part is polluting 4 times more than in CO2 than actually the airplane industry, which really got me troubled and worrisome. And some of this, I think we really can solve, and there's many things pointing towards it. Ponn, you're a professor of it, so you probably can speak more to it, and there's tons of other people. But in many things, when we start looking at this one, I'm thinking from our side and what we do and what I do, is that we look at this, and I love this quote. This is a quote by Phil Bernstein. He's apparently senior lecturer at Yale, and if you're a senior lecturer at Yale, you must be super smart. So of course, I would use that one. But BIM is the construction, what HTML is the internet. And you know, without HTML, we wouldn't be having this conversation unless we wouldn't be shopping or anything like that. So it's a kind of foundation and a brick in this building parts. And couldn't go, of course, a slideshow. Even if I use these emojis, I couldn't go a slideshow without showing it what the real problem is then. So if we are BIM is to the construction industry what HTML is to the internet, then you ask yourself, what is the industry looking like? Well, we look at, this is a picture many of you have probably seen before, but it's a picture, of course, saying that the construction industry, this is McKinsey Global Industry Digitalization Index report, extremely technical, of course, very divided up, and has all these colors. And if you look at the colors, you can see that, you know, it shows you how digitalization, how is it growing in the different areas. And if you look at the very bottom, you see that we are just above agriculture and hunting. So proud that we're just above agriculture and hunting. I think that's amazing of an industry. And you look across from one, you have all from the top there, you have the media companies, and you have to be all the way down here at the bottom to looking at what's really going on in the construction industry. And then you can look at all the assets, classes, digital spending. Well, we're really poor there. If you look at how low it is, and you can go for all across, from the labor to assets. Just really setting the things in stone, saying that, okay, we are poor in this one. So when you're an entrepreneur, you don't look at it like that. You go like, wow, this is a massive opportunity. And the way we break it down, and what we think about here at BIM Object, we think about it like this. So there's 4 kinds of problems with BIM. And we need to break them down. And normally when when I work with entrepreneurs or other people I invest into, you have a tendency that we always want to live ahead of time and never really anticipate what the industry is like. So you're trying to be in there more like stretching the reality. Normally that's what we do when we're building a company. You're trying to be ahead of the curve, etc. But what you really need to do is to break it down into a couple of problem areas. And that's how we do. And I work with problems. I guess as a CEO, that's the exclusive role of saying you really are the plumber. You are really working only where the problem is in the piping system or something like that. So, but when we separate this out, I think we have 4 kind of problems. And the way I want to break them down is saying, like, on one side, you have the solution complexity. On the other side, you have the problem complexity. And if you look at the solution complexity, they might not be easy, but at least they don't take time once you know what to do. That's normally how it works. Others will be done really fast, and but once they're done, you probably set the bar higher and you go on the solution side. Adoption of BIM and the usage, I mean, they are not easily fixed. I can tell you that, as Mr. Ponn just pointed out here. But even if we want to know what to do, it requires determination, and it really requires some patience and grit, to say. If you want to solve certain problems, other problems, you could say, the complexity of problems, then you need to understand them. I mean, some of them are just really boring or off-putting. Examples like toothbrushing, you really know what you need to do, or it's like you need to run a marathon or whatever. But it's actually you don't understand what's going on, what causes the problem. If you do not brush your teeth every day, you're going to have a problem later. It's very easy to fix it by doing it, but you just need to stick to it. You just need to do it. So many problems are in software the same. You don't know, it will take 5 minutes or 5 years to fix. And even if you have the root cause analysis, and this is a little bit with BIM as well, we don't even know it's going to take 5 years or 10 years or whatever, but we know there is a problem that needs to be fixing here. So the way to break it down into, and I see it, is that we have kind of a binary and simple problem. That's a band-aid kind of problem. The second one is more of a complex problem. That's when you think about it like, okay, solution is not too hard, but you need to go and see a doctor to figure kind of things out. You need to do a bigger investigation into it. The second one is determination, kind of grit, you just need to stick to it. Just like run the marathon, stick to it. Toothbrush exercise. The third one is like, this is a science kind of problem, The problem complexity is high and the solution complexity is high. So at BIM Object, we eat problems for breakfast, as we say, in startup world. So how we look at it and how we break it down, we do it like this. First of all, we see the problem is a binary solution. A product has a BIM model, it doesn't have a BIM model object or not. That's the starting point, You cannot say, well, we want to be having more BIM, we want it to revolutionize the world, we want less carbon dioxide footprint, etc. Well, if you don't have a BIM model, well, that's a bit of a starting point, The second solution then would be if you go a more complex problem with a simple solution. That's BIM models. They need to be available to users. To do that, to solve that problem, first of all, you need to have an online store, a marketplace or whatever. And secondly, you need to have a large supply of functional BIM models to put on that store to even be relevant. And that's a basic how it goes. But if you start having that, you're solving a complex problem with a simple solution. On the flip side of the chart, you can go to the toothbrush exercise. You go, well, on the other side, you have a toothbrush problem, a simple problem with a really gritty solution. You need to have adoption of BIM usage. You need to get people to use BIM. Otherwise, it's just completely worthless. And the really big problem there is, of course, like, everybody knows it's the right thing to do, but the progress is slow. It's like brushing your teeth, it's you don't see it every day, but after a while you say, well, I didn't have so many holes, I didn't have to go to the dentist. If I want to run a marathon, I run every day. It's going to be much, much easier. And the same here, we just need to stick to it, okay? The really gritty solution that has a large problem to it is really how to combine it all and think about it holistically. The way we do it is like, we look at it like this: a global marketplace for the construction industry. I mean, this is a problem that's probably never, ever going to be done. But you think about it, like if you want it to be work, like you need to have tons of objects online. You need to have tons of users. And this is the starting of the flywheel. Secondly, you need to have an online place where they go structured to helpful in a smart way. And thirdly, you need to get the brands on board. And that's kind of a flywheel of growth. And by that way, if you can do that, you can tell the manufacturers, hey, we manufacturers, we can help you to understand building products. And in that place, we can help you, we can reach architects and engineers, you can influence them, and you make them understand. And there they can make the choice. I don't think that an architect or an engineer who sits across the world really has an understanding of the great materials they can choose. Why should I use concrete when I know I should use wood? I don't know how wood works. I need to educate myself. I need to understand that one. Why should I build with woods? What's the problem? Well, it can actually reduce the carbon dioxide footprint. So there's tons of things we need to do, but we need to help them. And this is how we look at our mission, our problem. We might never succeed, and that's the way it is. But building a global marketplace for construction is one of those major problems. You have to want it, you have to do the best, and you have to enjoy the process. It's not simple. It's a really gritty work, and it's a really hard problem to solve, to be honest. And we love it. That's what we do. We love problems, and that's why we probably take on and building this kind of crazy project of growing global place projects. But how we solve it then, quickly, for us. Today we have on the solution side, we have 500,000 objects. You can say that's a really band-aid. So we have a couple of band-aids on there. On files downloaded, we have 25 million files downloaded annually. So that means tons of people actually download tons of these objects. At the top there, toothbrush problem. Well, if you have 100 of the top 100 architect firms in the world register on your site and go to your site and download objects, well, it looks like, we are starting to have a solution complexity is high there, of course, but the problem complexity we're getting on. But if you look at her, we are number one marketplace in BIM worldwide. So we're the place that people go to. So that's going to have impact. So we are actually impacting this digitalization that we're talking about. But then you ask yourself, so what is really the impact? And that sounds great, if you are like us sitting here, but what's really the impact if you're in the outside world? Well, I took the liberty to go to somebody else, of course, and you take the liberty to go to McKinsey, undisputed, of course. But when we looked at McKinsey, what they posted here is like, they say there's 4 key differentiations among companies winning the digital race. The first one is that the best performers, they have increased their agility. They enable first mover opportunity. The second thing they talked about is like they're taking advantage of digital platforms. Well, we're kind of a digital platform. It's great for brands to take advantage of that one. The third one is a classic one. You need to do M&A to build new digital assets. It goes faster. It's more capital efficient. And the third one, they invested ahead in digital talents. And to prove the points, also like, this is a bit of a dry slide. Of course, if McKinsey says it, gives some, some edge to it. But if you think about what's really happening here, you can take the example of Walmart and Amazon, a classic one. Well, we saw Amazon back in early 2000 starting to build out their online shop. And at some part in 2012, they were in the same valuation as Walmart. What Amazon did is that they plowed all the money back into investments and get ahead of the digital race. And you just look at what's happening, how they're starting to diverge back in 2013. And you look at the market cap of Amazon, this is an old one. You look at the Walmart, they completely distance themselves towards each other. And this is a classic that's going to happen in the digital race. You're going to see a clear winner that's going to invest into it. We're saying to ourselves, we are definitely reinvesting into this industry, and we want to create one marketplace. We think this is the winner, but above all, it really has an impact on the carbon dioxide footprint. That's the most important thing, and that's where I think I'm going to be accountable for my children and many others ahead of myself going forward. So when you come to work at BIM Object, that's one thing, that you do not come here to work for, saying, a great technology company that has a massive problem that we're solving on scale. You come here because you share a mission. You want to be part of a company that has an impact on the world. That's it, you know. So thanks. That's it for me. That was 15 minutes, you said, Ponn, but you know,
Yeah.
I could go on.
This is really great, and I think most of us who is working to promote this solution for the industry really appreciate your point of view, especially if you link the level of McKinsey business approach to this thing that we are doing right now. I think people are going to see that even McKinsey, they didn't talk about BIM directly when we talk about digital transformation applying to our industry. It's pretty much BIM in a nutshell. Okay, thank you very much. And then we go back to the round of question later on. I give it to Mr. Dave Nicholson, please.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Ponn. Thanks, Carl. And yeah, I've used definitely a few of those 25 million objects of me over the years. So thanks for their service. I'll share my screen here. So yeah, I was going to talk about the digital movement here in Hong Kong. So yeah, reintroducing myself following Dr. Ponn's introduction earlier. My name's Dave. I'm working at Aurecon Group in Hong Kong office, and recently taken on the role as digital practice leader. So if you're familiar with Aurecon, we're a very digital first approach now in our project delivery. So I'm learning a lot very quickly here in Hong Kong about how the industry is tracking with BIM adoption. So we'll cover a brief background of the history of BIM in Hong Kong and where it's come from, what kind of initiatives the government are taking here and have been taking to encourage the use, leading adoption projects, just a couple of cases of some of the major players in Hong Kong and the big projects adopting BIM, and talk about some of the current issues as well as the future progression. So it was around, I think, around 2011, long before I was in Hong Kong, that BIM initiatives have been around here, obviously. The CIC were very much adopting BIM and pushing for more use in the industry. And you can see on the right-hand side there are a couple of the initial early projects, the carbon zero, carbon neutral building that was built just up the road from me in Kowloon, and also the Kowloon MTR station. Two early complex BIM projects, which were good successes. And I think a lot of the lessons learned from those projects went into these BIM standards that the CIC developed. So around 2014, they issued these BIM standards and held the BIM year, which was revolved around a lot of conferences and different standards being released and providing BIM training and that sort of thing. Was a big push that year. And in those early stages, yeah, the railways and the airport and public housing tended to be the first people to get on board and start contributing to this kind of industry progression. And then came standards. Carl talking about toothbrushes reminds me of the comment on standards that everybody wants to use their own and not someone else's. And certainly seems to be the case here in Hong Kong. There's lots of hard work going into developing standards by many different government bodies and businesses. So CIC have, these are mostly still in that kind of around 2015, I think, a lot of these standards, some of them a bit later. Implementation strategies. We had the EMSD have done a great job at documenting BIM for asset management. So that standard is being adopted quite a lot across Hong Kong. You'll see it in a lot of proposals or specifications to use that EMSD BIM for AM standards. We've got modeling manuals. Again, the CIC pushing these documents out, as well as the Housing Authority. So they've got their own BIM modeling standards. They also have a documentation for providing quantities from BIM models as well, the Housing Authority standard for quantity takeoff from BIM. So, you know, it's great that these standards are out there. There's a lot of work going into developing this, and it can maybe be a bit overwhelming. This is from a recent BIM spec I've seen. I'm not going to obviously read all those, but those were, as you can see at the top, reference may be made to the published guidelines. And I think if you're asking a contractor to adopt BIM, perhaps giving them 16 standards may be a little excessive. We should probably look at refining that. I think it goes back to Dr. Ponn's comments there on sometimes illogical requests within BIM specs. The government mandate was 2019, so that was another huge year for the development of BIM in Hong Kong. It stated that any works over 30 million Hong Kong dollars, so around 4 million USD, should be adopting BIM, as you can see there at all stages, so investigation, feasibility and planning, design and construction. So the technical circular there is available to anyone who wants to go online and download it, and really just encourages the use of BIM for all of the benefits we know it can bring, saving costs and reducing potential variations down the line, all of that good stuff. Also, the Construction Innovation Training Fund is a huge positive thing that was implemented, 1 billion Hong Kong dollars, so a huge amount of funds, providing resources to companies. So once this was released just last year, we saw a big uptick in the number of companies offering training services and also offering softwares, packages and that sort of thing. So that kind of proved to me that the training fund was a good success, because it's initiated a lot of companies have taken up on it. I think it was getting up to 80% of the training for your company funded with a limit. So a lot of BIM training came about. It's also pushed the use of MIC. So in the office right now here, we have some MIC projects for things like COVID quarantine facilities and transitional housing. And yeah, as we know, MIC goes hand in hand with BIM delivery with that modular approach. So there's lots of work being done in Hong Kong in that area. ISO 19650, obviously the biggest topic last year, and still being kind of rolled out here in Hong Kong. There's a big contract with BRE and a local BIM consultant here who are developing the Hong Kong annex for the BIM standards, ISO 19650. Obviously, we want to that should be coming out fairly soon. I know there seems to be time added to make it suitable for Hong Kong. I think it's also prudent to not overcomplicate any standards, make sure that we're achieving the baselines before adding too much more to it. But yeah, it's great to see that work happening. And statutory submissions, this is an Aurecon project that's been developed by our executive director, Francis Lung. So for the past 2 years, they've been developing these BIM standards with industry feedback, and we're providing Revit templates that will make it an easier guide for people to submit to Hong Kong government for standard or statutory submissions to get approvals. There's been a bit of, I think, reluctance to adopt BIM because people may have a hard time meeting those very clearly defined presentation standards by government bodies. So by developing this project and working with the industry, they've been able to show, just how this is achievable, and to kind of set a bit of a benchmark there for that to be adopted further. So hopefully we'll see more consultants adopting those kind of standards and using BIM for their statutory submissions as well. Hong Kong International Airport, this is one of the bigger adopters of BIM in Hong Kong. So for some time they've mandated BIM on all of their projects, and they do specify LOD 500 deliverables. So contractors working at the airport obviously have a strong capability to deliver with BIM projects. They carried out a kind of digital twin project. They've developed a LOD 500 model of the entire Terminal 1. That's about 700,000 square meters of airport. So that's, I guess, setting the benchmark for the rest of the airport to be developed around that. They've got mega projects going on. You can see on this screen, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor or not, but the Terminal 3 and the third runway system is coming in here. We've got a big extension happening to Terminal 2, and also behind that there's a Sky City entertainment district. There's tunnels going from T1, T2 over to the new terminal, which has an automated people mover as well. So lots and lots of work happening out there. You can see the kind of dollar values on that, $18 billion refurbing and putting in the 3RS system. So lots of contracts out there, and all being delivered to a high level of BIM. The airport authority are also training a lot of their technical staff in BIM, both in BIM process and BIM software, so that when all of these LOD 500 models are handed over, they can actually use them for operations, and developing their asset management system linking into that as well. Another one we have is West Kowloon Cultural District, a big part of reclaimed land right in central Hong Kong, opposite central Hong Kong, the other side of Victoria Harbour. There's some beautiful buildings going up. We've got Lyric Theatre, the large one here, and M+ Art Gallery. There was, it's quite a large development, lots of different contracts for different buildings. So a lot of, most of the large consultants are involved through design stage, generating BIM models and coordinating amongst them. So I think that this was one of the more successful projects to implement BIM and really test the capability of the market here over the past few years. Most of these are quite finished now. I think Lyric Theatre has been open for a while, and M+ is getting close to completion. There's other buildings going up, I think another theatre, there's open park areas, and future buildings to come as well. So it's a nice project. And MTR, continuing to expand. If you can see the image there on the left-hand side is their current map, and perhaps a little bit facetiously on the right is the potential future map. But regardless, there's going to be a long-term development by MTR. They're currently building a new project that we're just kicking off in Chun Ma Extension. So Aurecon are involved in that project for the some of the design and railway engineering and swimming pool, river crossing, using our bridge specialties, contributing to that project. So looking forward to seeing that one develop. The approach they're taking for BIM is also very industry leading. They've developed their own BIM process for common data environments and complying to ISO standards. They were requested to provide some CAD machines, I think, for one of the consultants, and just flat out refused. I think that they really want to make sure everybody's operating in a 3D coordination environment, which is encouraging. I'm sure there'll be some challenges along the way, but helps everybody adopt a better process. I know they're also doing a lot of work to digitize their existing assets, which is going to be a huge task. So yeah, MTR definitely doing a lot, very, very capable, and encouraging all of the consultants and contractors along the way. So I think those three large industry clients are helping the consultants to get up to speed, and contractors as well. So there's a lot of movement around those projects. Some of the things we're facing, I think, relate a lot back to Dr. Ponn's comments as well. So similarly, particularly with consultants, we tend to see small BIM teams within the consultants in Hong Kong still. So we're still lacking skills shortage for the design team to really be designing in BIM. Quite often there's a separate BIM model being developed for coordination, but that's changing very fast. Yeah, and that skills shortage has caused that external BIM consultant relationship to be used to deliver projects in the past. As mentioned, the submission standards was one issue that a lot of people cited as for not adopting it. So we'll start to see some change there. And lack of EIR definition, I think a bit too much copy and paste potentially coming down into BIM specs. So we need to make sure there's more time spent investigating what we want to achieve from a BIM process on this project, and what BIM uses are realistic and can be implemented, instead of copying a previous project and trying to achieve a very high level of BIM deliverables, which may just end up costing the project more money than it could ever recuperate. I'm starting to feel like I'm being negative here, but these are the challenges. So retrospective BIM at construction as well. I think a lot of contractors are receiving some BIM information, but they're also signing on to contracts with very high BIM deliverables and told that they would be receiving a design model to progress. And seems to be a bit of a gap there. If there needs to be a lot of work done at construction stage, we've missed an opportunity to bring value to the project during the design phase with better coordination. And also the requirement for large teams on site for BIM seems to be specified a lot. So sometimes that's going to bring value, and other times it may not. So we really want to be clear about what's being achieved through that process. And making sure that we have an inclusive approach to BIM. It's everybody is involved. I think you mentioned earlier, we can't leave it to the BIM guy. You've got to have, this is the way we deliver projects. It's benefiting everybody, and everybody has a responsibility to contribute. I think some of the things that we're seeing resolving these issues really quickly, moving us towards a level 2 BIM, is the CIC standards and trainings and certifications. CIC has a BIM manager course and a BIM coordinator course, and also have certifications. So in BIM projects in Hong Kong, you tend to have a CIC certified BIM manager, so that they can maintain this standard and have a consistency in the approach to BIM management on projects. I think the key there is just training as well, just getting more people following a good training course to have more awareness should help us resolve the skills shortage. In-house capability is going to increase over time as more and more people adopt BIM to deliver their design projects. So that will see a bit more of an even work share, I think, between the BIM consultants and the design teams. The ISO 19650, once that is released, I think it will provide a very good framework for a lot more companies to follow. It's got the definition of requirements on a project who needs what information and when do they need it, what is that information's purpose, and planning that life cycle of the BIM so we can follow that ISO 19650 process for staged milestone deliveries. And I think that's all coming into play. The role requirements being defined as well as part of the ISO 19650. So I'm putting a lot of weight on that standard for when it's released to see a big improvement in how we're delivering BIM in Hong Kong. So yeah, in summary, I think it's come a long way. There's a lot of people working very hard to keep pushing BIM in Hong Kong, and clients are insisting it's delivered to a very high standard. So it's really just the next few years, I think, is going to be continued adoption and going strength to strength. That's the end of my slides. I'll hand back to you, Dr. Ponn.
Well, thank you very much for both Carl and Dave. I have questions coming from the team here, but I will try to rephrase some question for you. I would bring in first right now, and this question can be based on your experience or opinion, but I can see that these days the issue regarding asset management it's coming in a lot. Basically, what it means in this case is when we have the as-built BIM model already, which is a very valuable digital asset for the owner to have. Back to Dave's example regarding the Hong Kong airport. What happened after that in your experience? What do you see? My question is that who actually managed that model when it's already done? Because this is a complex object, and you need someone with the knowledge to be able to and skill to be able to modify that object. And most of the time, the owner doesn't have that. They commission the BIM consultant when they do the design and construction. Yes, but after that, the owner will be left with this digital asset. So maybe this go to Dave first about, based on your experience, what the owner do after that when they have this asset, digital asset in their hand. Dave.
Yeah, at the time I was involved with them, they were at the stage of trying to decide between the classification system to use and how to link it to their asset management system. So as you said, it's a complex process. There's a lot of information to manage to make sure there's that alignment between the asset tagging in the model and what they're using as a asset management system.
So so actually the owner still hire you to continue managing this model for them even after the construction? Is that what you have experienced before?
I think they will. I think they will keep using an external consultant. It doesn't make much sense to have a large team in-house trying to manage the model continuously. I think the good approach on a project that size is because any changes that happen in terms of large refurbishments or something like that, they're going to get the main contractor who's carrying out the works to create the updated as-built model, and then that would replace that part of the asset information. So I guess managing it that way as individual projects for upgrades.
I see. What about...
Unfortunately, I don't have experience in...
Okay. What about Carl, in your experience, what do you see when the model is done and everyone's gone? You have the building and then you have digital model based on what you see, what had happened after that?
We don't see so much of it, but we like to see more of it. We like to see them, like Dave said, and you speaking about, like, let's get onto it and use it more. But it's like, for example, I think it's 20% in Europe that BIM is used, BIM in projects.
Really?
50%. I think 50% of architects and engineers in Europe now is starting to be logged on to BIM, and you're seeing 80% knows about it, or 90% knows about it today. That's according to the latest research. So there is this, like, we need to stand with it for grit. It's going to be there. It's like given. But it just needs to mature, and I don't know what's going. That's a 1-year problem or 10-year problem. but it's just given that we're walking down this way. But I think it's going to be accelerating. Normally, that's what happens in technology transition. It just accelerates so quickly once it starts to happen. But we haven't seen that curve yet. We don't see it particularly more.
Yeah. So yeah, this can be a good opportunity for anyone who can monetize this situation about what happened after you have this BIM model with the building as it's done, okay, in the future.
But I think, I mean, to go back to the big question is that I guess that I always come back to that one. It's like, that's when the real impact we can have, when we can, you know, reduce the carbon dioxide footprint of maintaining the building, doing it smarter and all that. So that's what really impact is. If you say it in money, I hope so. I hope that a lot of people I hope that's the next frontier. Tons of people should be making tons of money on saving the planet instead of developing gaming technology or other stupid technology. I don't understand. Like, why is people throwing billions into gaming technology when it has zero impact on the world? Like, great. That's really cool. That's going to be like the legacy we show to our children, going like, yeah, you know what? We sold this candy sugar here over here, but we forgot about the planet a little bit.
Yeah. Entertainment always wins in many aspects, I think. Yeah.
It does, unfortunately.
Anyway, the other question coming in, framing it
from. I gotta ask you, why is it that gaming technology wins, do you think?
Why say it again? Why does gaming technology what?
Yeah. Because
why they win?
Look at the conversation, because it's so boring. What we do is like, it's not engaging people enough. We need to be more engaging. You just need to embrace it. Like, it doesn't need to be super like, this is a hardcore, this is life. This is be like lighten it up a little bit and speak about it as something that you want to join, not something that's super technical, complicated that you don't want to join. Like HTML programming at the early start was super boring. You need to go to the library and do it. And nowadays, I think we need to just embrace. I mean, if you want to change something, behavior, you need to start looking at the behavior and how we look at it and embrace people to do it. That's what I think.
This is good engagement. I can give you two sides of the opinion here. One is that when we do the consulting firm as a BIM consultant, when we frame this technology as something difficult to implement, something that needs a super expert, then we can price them more. That's basically the marketing aspect of it, right? But then on the other hand, you have the bad side of that. Nobody wants to get involved directly, and everyone says, okay, I pay you and you just get it done. That's why we have so small group of people who know how to do this thing. But then we have BIM object like Carl implementing here that you want to open to everyone, and you tell the world that, oh, it's easy, everyone should join on board. Then it's a conflicting side of the industry. One wants to make more money, and you want to kind of like open to everyone. I think we need to come to resolve on something. But in terms of why game is fun, because I think the whole theory of gamification is out there. If you want to get people on board, you turn it into gamification. Everyone wants to start to play. Nobody wants to work. Everyone wants to play. That's kind of like the generalized.
It's another aspect of it. Like a lot of people in the years I've been here, before I started this industry, before it was like, you have to be BIM expert. You have to be speaking about BIM very seriously, and it was all about the product guy. So if we spoke to a company, you ended up with this product guy who was gung-ho on BIM, and you spoke to him. He was talking about how he wanted a depository for his BIM files in his company. Well, you know, a product person who sits in a company that's interested in BIM, he has approximately zero budget to spend. Because everybody's like, yeah, whatever. It's a server hosting. Who cares? You know, spend money. If you go to the marketing people and you say, listen, we got 2 million people on our platform, 2 million architects and engineers. They really want to hear more about your products. You can reach them. You can influence them on our platform. How about you spend some more investment into putting your BIM objects on our platform? The marketing people love it. They're like, oh, what? This is amazing. Like, this is a better return on investment than I can get on Google, because people can actually download the object, putting in there. I want to be part of that. So when we started focusing on that, we saw a massive growth into doing, because we moved from being what's considered like, yeah, it's small BIM area inside a company, to becoming forefront. We want to reach architects and engineers with our products. So that's how you influence. I don't think you influence it by saying it's a technology that nobody understands, because then it's going to end up at some dark corner. But every company understands we need to meet the customers. We need to explain our products to them.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave. What's your take on that one? Go ahead, Dave.
Sorry, I've actually got really bad network here. You keep missing the conversation.
Basically, I think the Carl has already brought up the very good point regarding make it more easy, friendly, and fun to get more people on board, rather than make it so prestige, so difficult to understand, so out of this world for so very few people can do this thing. And I think that's two sides, but I think later that's the aspect of the argument, not exactly argument, but the idea here that what is a better way to kind of like get this technology going. That's what he said. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's the inclusivity. Instead of saying that here's a BIM manager, here's a BIM coordinator, only they get to play, and you just do your normal job. It's a case of showing everybody how it impacts them and how it can improve their day to day.
Yeah. I think Carl brought a very good point based on my experience here. Just this afternoon here, I think everyone wants to enjoy the benefit of the data, but no one wants to input data. So I think you can still have this two world that everyone stay on board to enjoy the benefit of the system, but there's another super expert who manages the system. This can coexist peacefully based on that kind of like notion. Okay, that's a very good aspect. Thank you, Carl. The next question is that this is big, that if both of you who has so many experience, if you can just name one benefit for the design firm, if many design firm is listening right now, the owner of the design firm, if you can just tell them that one benefit if they implement BIM in their design firm, what would it be? How about start from Carl first?
One thing. Impact.
One big thing.
Impact the environment. The only question is like you got to impact it, so positively. So that's what you start using it to more efficiently build an Excel process.
Okay, this is like the strong point for the environment is from Carl. How about you, Dave? One benefit for the one benefit for design firm. Yeah.
It would be the change management in a project. How quickly you can adapt your drawings production set based off of the BIM model. Yeah.
For the efficiency. Okay. The next one, this might be a broader picture. They said that, okay, in terms of the city, based on what you see these days, some city already implement the BIM-based permit, and any of you have experience, both of you have a worldwide experience. You see any city or any country that has a good, like a front line for BIM-based permit in this world, that has a set as a good standard for best practice for BIM-based permit?
Any city or any country?
Any city or any country, or maybe city. Yeah, city is probably better.
I mean, I guess the countries that has open BIM standards is great, like Norway, Finland, all that. So I think that those are great countries where you like open BIM standard. I think that's the starting point of a great collaboration. I think UK has the same, almost getting in there. Singapore was mentioned, have a great kind of thing. But just like, if you want to make a move on something, and this is the great thing about our industry, when you make a decision in Italy, say, well, you cannot build a hospital or a prison without a BIM model. Well, that tells the manufacturer, go, okay, I need to go and fix my BIM model. That tells the architects, you need to provide us a good BIM model. So it kind of like that pushes tailwind. That's every industry dreams about that, That's amazing. Like when somebody, so we're going to see that tailwind happening across the world, because people are going to say, well, great that you're building this building, but we want to know what's inside of it, and we want to fix a usable model. So great cities, many cities are doing great work in these areas. Again, it's just that it's not, they haven't told the manufacturers what's the great point of it. What is the really great? Why should I take all my catalog of products, take the investment to put them into BIM so other people can use them? Well, if you can show them a good idea of doing that, then we're going to start digitalizing the whole catalog system, and then we're going to start using, managers are going to put more BIM projects because the portfolio is larger, so you can produce more. So I think it's
okay.
Good site there. I think.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Carl. What about you, Dave? Any city that you see in your experience that is a good standard for BIM-based permit that anyone can learn? Yeah, Hong Kong. How about that? Yeah.
Honestly, I think Australia has a very good adoption. Sorry, you're breaking
state level. I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen lot of good projects in Australia, large scale, like you mentioned, hospitals have adopted BIM for delivery and been very successful. So I think, you know, perhaps even if it's not just focused on BIM, strict BIM process, just in terms of successfully using BIM software to do design collaboration, seems to be very strong there. And UK obviously pushing the standards, BRE operating in the UK seems to be doing some really good stuff in aligning ISO standards and everything.
Okay.
But I could say that because they're the only countries I'm familiar with.
Okay.
I don't know any others.
Well, I think comes to probably the last statement. If any one of you want to tell the audience, especially this side of the world in Thailand, about what you would like to leave them today, the last final words from you. How about you, Carl, please? Yes.
I mean, it's like I said, it's you need to succeed. You need to have grit, and you need to be kind of working on the solution, on complex solutions, and that's what we're doing right now. So I want to, but it's not going to, like I show you, it's not going to go. This is the right direction. It's going down this road. We're going down this fact. It's like you need to embrace it. We're not going to go backwards in time and go like, no, we're going to skip this one. We're going to go back to the old way. We're going here. We just need to make it easy, more adoptable. And if you ever watched, and this is the best thing about it, this is so beautiful to be in an industry that is so little digitalized. This is massive opportunities. This is like the early days of internet. You have so many opportunities ahead of ourselves, but it's hard really to embrace them, what's going to come out of them. So just stick to it and be in that industry. And that's going to have a great impact on so many levels: efficiency, how we build, we need to build more, and it's going to impact our environment in a positive way. So
thank you.
Given.
Thank you very much. What about you, Dave? Last words? Yes.
I think, like Carl said, we need to build more. The construction industry is increasing. We need to increase our efficiency as an industry as well. And BIM is a great way to do that, contributing to a lot of the issues we have in terms of cost of building, safety, sustainability, and implementing good BIM process can support that. So I guess it's good for people just getting involved or trying to change the way they work, not to get overwhelmed, and just start small, little bits of implementation on your projects and start to see some benefits. Yes.
Okay. It is an honor for me to participate, spending time with all of you, great speaker. And I'm based on what I hear. You can all the audience can hear from Carl regarding the visionary and about the inclusion, about we need to contribute this technology for the greater good of the world. And we also hear the deep experience of implementation from Dave today. My last word is that I think. The benefit of the business that you want to make a wealth for yourself, especially as a professional, and to do great to the world is not conflict. It's actually, you can find a formula to go hand in hand. Just like Carl just said early on, that if you can find that formula, that's most of what success entrepreneur is. They find a formula to align these two things together and make it become more synergized. And that's how we win this thing. Okay. Once again, thank you very much for Mr. Carl Silbersky and Mr. Dave Nicholson for participating in this seminar. I hope you have a good time as well from you, and hope to see both of you again in the next occasion. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sawadee krap. Take care.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.